Ambassador James Gilmore, once again, good to have you back with us.
Thank you very much.
Like to hit a little bit on the Pacific, if we could, sir. There's a lot going on over there. You and I have discussed this off camera. Some that's very obvious, some that's more surreptitious. But that China, mainland China, the People's Republic, as you said, is on the move. It has Taiwan in its sights. Things appear to be heating up with the Philippines. I know you have a lot of background information on that a lot of average citizens do not have. Can you explain what is really happening over there that just isn't getting the attention it should, and what that portends for the Pacific, mainland China, and possibly to what extent that may ultimately bring the United States into that equation? That's a lot, but I'll leave it in your hands to give it a shot.
Well, let me give your viewers a quick report. I have been to Taiwan in the past several months. I had a chance to talk to all the key business people there and politicians. I met with the president of Taiwan. And so I have some insight as to the feel in Taiwan with all this. Secondly, I have met with the Council of American Ambassadors, of which I am an active member. And our last meeting was a broad-based review of foreign policy, but it also talked about the Taiwan and the Pacific. And the report of the special guest that day was that President Xi is a horse of another color, that he is determined, that he is aggressive, and he wants to take China to war. That's not a very happy report, but that was what I was listening to. Thirdly, I had a chance to read a major study from one of the war colleges that really talked about Chinese economic policy and what they were doing, which was very, very enlightening. So that's what I've done, Sam, in just the past couple of weeks. My view is this: you have to ask yourself the big picture strategic question: what is the United States trying to do, and what is China trying to do? And draw upon the experience of the World War II Japanese War to try to understand this better. China is clearly trying to dominate the Western Pacific. Xi has an aggrandizing idea of China as one of the great superpowers, and he really can't do that until he controls the Pacific. The United States, on the other hand, has learned bitterly that we cannot allow that the United States itself is in danger if we allow an adversary to control the Pacific, which is why, by the way, we incorporated Hawaii as a state, and why we have friendships with the Philippines, and why we have a more or less alliance with Taiwan, and Japan, and South Korea. So we're there because we understand from our experience we can't allow that to happen, but yet China intends for it to happen. That's exactly the conditions that led up to Pearl Harbor. So we need to be serious about this. As far as the Philippines go, yes, we're in alliance with them. I think that the Chinese are trying to win through military intimidation as well as other intimidation. I think they're testing the United States. Unfortunately, we're being tested everywhere now as the authoritarians rise in their confidence. I personally don't think the Chinese can conquer the Philippines or invade the Philippines or attack the Philippines militarily as long as the United States is behind the Philippines. I think that the Philippines ought to be empowered to just take these little Chinese Coast Guard ships on and push them back. The Philippines have a right to their territorial waters. They do. And if they don't get to defend them, then I think that China is furthering the mission that they have, which is the control of the Indo-Pacific and then later the Western Pacific.
Do you think that the government of the Philippines is restraining itself of its own volition, or do you think its other allies are asking the Philippines to restrain itself in terms of its response to any of the actions that provocations, if you will, that mainland China is making at this time?
I've seen no information in the public as to what the United States' position with the Philippines is, or Japan, or our other allies. None whatsoever. I think this is relatively new. This has only happened over the last several weeks, I think. Well, it's been longer than that, but it's been very significant over the last several weeks where they've actually rammed the Philippines boats and so on like that. But this is an ongoing battle that's going on. I think it's the least important of the three, of the Ukraine, Middle East, Pacific. It's because when I was in Taiwan, they were very relaxed there. There's so much interaction economically between Taiwan and the mainland that I just don't think that the Chinese are positioned at this point to engage in a war over Taiwan. That's their feeling, and it's my feeling too. But the Chinese, I've always said I thought the Chinese were smarter than the Russians and smarter than the Iranians, but I'm not so sure. Xi apparently is not that smart, and he's trying to take China to war, at least according to certain people, and that will be the demise of the Chinese rise if that happens. And I don't think that he ought to be doing that. But this is one more crisis that the United States faces. We had better get our foreign policy straight. We had better not be frightened and intimidated by our adversaries. We had better elect a president that does the right thing in foreign policy. And that does not mean folding.
Well, you've really led me to my final question of our segment out of this, which is, at what point or what would be the flow of events that would cause the United States, or should cause the United States, to have to say publicly, this has gone far enough. We will have to support our allies very actively and overtly. What combination of events would you see would or could bring things to that point of real friction?
A military outbreak in the Pacific between our allies in China, or ourselves in China, a military outbreak. At that point, my hope is that the United States will wake up. They did not wake up prior to Pearl Harbor. They still have time to wake up now. But look at the distractions that the people of the United States have. Not only their day in and day out activities, worrying about inflation and childcare and all those things, but also the presidential campaign, and then 2 additional conflicts worldwide that people are from sometimes focus on, particularly in Israel. So we're asleep right now, just like we were during the isolationist period of the 30s. So I'm hopeful that there will be strong leadership in foreign policy in the United States to wake up to what this conflict is. It's already underway, Sam. It's not something that's coming. It's already here. The conflict is underway. The question is it manageable without an outbreak of a real kinetic third world war? There's still time for that, but not much time.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, as you say, a lot of this is not very pleasant, but it's necessary facts for the viewers to hear, absorb, and hopefully understand and have a fuller grasp of what this is all about. As always, your time on this is so much appreciated, and I thank you once again.
Thank you, Sam.